So Jonathan, thanks very much for being with us on Green Talk.
Pleasure.
So just to start off, can you tell us what made you interested in wildlife?
I think I've always been interested in wildlife. From my earliest memories, everything that I love most, doing most, was engaged with the natural world. So it's hardly surprising I ended up what I was doing, which was living out in the bush in Africa.
So tell us about that. How did you actually make the move from the UK to Africa? What took you there?
I suppose it seems very logical now when I look back over my life that I did end up in Africa, because if there's anywhere to me, both then when I was young and even now, that sort of conjures up an image of wildlife in wild places, it would have to be Africa, particularly Savannah Africa, East Africa. But the step that actually took me there was having studied zoology, which again was a natural progression of my love of wildlife. I jumped on board an overland trip which went from London to Johannesburg, and that took 4 months. And when I got to Africa, though, of course, and realised that this really was where I felt most at home and where I could watch wildlife, it was going to be how am I going to make a living. And in a sense, I ended up doing something of everything.
Now tell us a bit about how it is to work together with your wife.
Obviously, more than anything, you have to be able to be peaceful with each other. We're both totally engrossed and fascinated by whatever subject we happen to be filming. And it could be polar bears, it could be penguins in Antarctica, it could be leopards in East Africa. And we both have the same objective. And the objective is that we love to actually capture moments in time of the animals that we love to watch. Wildlife is very much it's very much about moments in time. And you can't set it up, not easily. So you can't say to the lion, now look, you'd look great if you just sat on that termite mound between those other two lions and just all look this way or that way, and choreograph your shot. Instead, what you have to do is to have your eye attuned to the possibilities.
Now you've slightly shifted focus temporarily from Africa to the extreme opposite, it seems, Antarctica.
Yep.
Tell us about your new book and how you became interested in Antarctica.
We didn't plan it this way. We've been wanting to write a book to share our experiences of Antarctica, which to us is of the same importance and the same visual aura of going to Africa for the first time. So you go to the Serengeti Plains and see the wildebeest migration, and it's going to knock the socks off you because you will not believe this incredible spectacle. You go to Antarctica, it has the same effect. Antarctica is a much more spiritual place. It requires much more involvement from you on an inner level. So I think they're very different in that kind of respect. Of course, suddenly we find ourselves publishing a book which is not only topical because of global warming, but which is topical and timely, because I think Antarctica, to me, represents the last great wilderness. And it also represents a wilderness which has a unique treaty to try and protect it, which is an international treaty. It sort of represents to me, Antarctica, a possibility of doing something to protect the environment. It's almost like there's still a chance to try and sort of really show our goodwill towards the environment. Antarctica should be the last great place, a place of peace, a place of science, not a place of exploitation. So I would just hope that people would give Antarctica a break, but if the past is anything to go by, they won't, because greed dictates much of what man does with the environment, and there's a lot of greedy people out there.
So I suppose you're as close to the subject as possible. How optimistic are you that we can preserve our wildlife?
I think anybody who picks up a newspaper or looks on the television or who travels around our world couldn't fail to feel a degree of what on earth are we doing? How much more do we have to hear? In Africa, people are beginning to wake up to the fact that there are far less lions, maybe 40,000, 50,000, not the 100,000 or 200,000 that people had thought there were there. We are truly messing things up out there. Come to Africa and see the litter and the plastic bags and, the rubbish that is sort of accumulating around even sort of, non-urban areas. As simple as not buying plastic bags. What a difference our world would look like without all that plastic. And it's possible. We didn't used to have them. You had a shopping basket and you just kept reusing it. For whatever little gains you can make, if it's just one more tiger, one more chance for somebody to see a tiger, one more chance for people to come away with a sense of wonder about our world, and that actually we will be healthier for being exposed to the natural environment, far healthier than sitting in front of your television screen or watching Serengeti on a movie. Get off your backside and go and see it for yourself.
Jonathan Scott, thank you so much for talking to us at Green Talk.
It's been a pleasure.